Hey guys, Scott here, and welcome to another rework series. Today we are going to be looking at Clown, who is in desperate need of a rework. But Scott, he already got a rework. Clown is in desperate need of a rework. And so we're going to talk about what could be changed. But I feel like first, when you're making these types of ideas, you need to address what the problems with the killer actually are. To me, the problems with Clown are that he is extremely boring, his skill cap is extremely low, and there's really nothing to learn about him, and there's nothing really that survivors do against him to try to use their skill to counterplay him. Basically, if you're against the Clown, you'd run to a pallet and just drop it early, and that's it. That's the whole super fun counterplay of Clown. It works, but it's just, it's really, really boring. Additionally, Clown has basically no map control whatsoever, which is a huge detriment nowadays to killers, so he needs to be having something to do with that. First, let's go over changes to his actual power. First off, I'd say just remove the yellow vial entirely. I feel like it just complicates things. It gives you some use on certain tiles, rarely, but for the most part, I find it to just be a pretty superfluous thing, and usually just using the slowdown was enough. I'm not saying that it was useless, because it did have uses, but I feel like it wasn't useful enough to warrant an entire rework just to add that. So I say we just nix those entirely. Now, the actual pink slowdown bottles. The problem with those is what I said before, that the counterplay to it is just run to a pallet, drop it early. It's boring for the Clown, it's boring for the survivor. Everyone is just bored with this whole thing. It takes 5 seconds to learn Clown. All you have to do is learn how to throw a vial on one side of the loop, then you corral them to the other side of the loop. There's nothing fancy about that. Either the survivor runs into the Clown and gets hit, or they run through the gas, then the Clown doubles back, forcing the survivor to run through it again, and then they get hit. So the only way to really counter that is to drop pallets early, which is incredibly effective, by the way, which is why Clown kind of sucks, because it's a 100% guaranteed counter. It's just boring. So I thought, what if we changed his power to be a bit more skill-based and have it be something that survivors can actually learn to use and something that the killer can plan around? So the idea here is the gas clouds no longer have that super distortion blindy effect. You can still have it if you want. I feel like that's just optional at this point. And it no longer slows you down. What the gas does now, based on his lore and the whole, what did he use? He used the whole, what are those things called? Sedatives. He used all that stuff. And, that would have mind-altering properties. So I'm trying to incorporate lore as much as I can so it makes sense for the killer. So I think it would be cool if instead of the slowdown, what happens as soon as you're in the gas and for, a couple of seconds after leaving it, just like the current slowdown, your controls are completely reversed. And this would be, so if you're holding W, you start running backwards. If you're holding, S, you start running forwards. If you turn your camera to the left, it goes to the right, etc. And that would be for that would be what the power does. Now, I can already tell people are going to go, but what about 18 trillion hour, literally Achilles playing DBD, and they are perfect with their movements, and they will completely learn how to counter this? I'm telling you, no. That will basically never happen. There will never be a person that can perfectly and instantly, immediately, perfectly reverse all of their movements. And that's for a number of reasons. One, you don't know the exact time that it's going to start, because the cloud is not a very defined circle. So you might start reversing your controls too early, causing you to just stand still or even go backwards. Rounding corners properly would never work. You're never going to perfectly round a loop tightly. So it is in effect a slowdown as well, because it will cut the efficiency at which survivors loop by a very, very massive amount. And additionally, a scenario would be you throw it near a window, and the survivor, even if he's amazing, as soon as he gets in the cloud, he starts holding W, he goes the opposite direction with his camera, and he runs towards the vault. But then as he gets to the vault, he runs out of the gas and it expires, and now he's holding backwards and he just stops. And now he can't fast vault the window anymore because he just stopped and lost all his momentum. I can't think of a possible scenario where someone is so perfect that they will never be affected by this. So I wanted to allay those fears that someone will be a master of this game and not be affected by that whatsoever. There are just too many little variables to make anyone perfect at countering that. So with this, it gives survivors something to actually learn and improve upon with the power, and it gives the Clown the option to kind of understand what the survivors are going to do, because he's now influencing their movements a bit. And there could be a bunch of different add-ons with this that can change that as well. That's just the base power. A couple of add-on ideas are things like If you throw it at a window, if you vault that window, you're forced to run the same direction that you're going for 2 seconds or something like that. So you're at an LLT wall, you throw it at a window, instead of tightly looping around the corner, they're forced to just kind of run into the open for 2 seconds. Just like random things like that are not super detrimental, but they can be combined in very clever ways for the clown to position you where he wants you, and the survivors can see that and then try to, play around that as well. I think that would be a lot more interesting than just, you go slow. So the whole point is trying to introduce counterplay while also keeping Clown possibly even stronger, and making it so that he's just not incredibly boring to play and play against. Now we need to address the whole map control thing. So I think instead of having the no yellow bottles, or rather, instead of having the yellow bottles, he would have a different ability tied to control. Obviously, you would still reload, but there would be jack-in-the-boxes basically scattered around the map, pretty much in the same amount that the pig's trap removers would be, and they'd be predetermined place. I thought about making letting him carry them by default, but the boxes would have to be so big it would just look really silly for him to just like leave a giant box and pull it out of nowhere. So maybe you can make an entity jizz just like appears. How they get there is not important. The idea is that you would have like a maximum of 4 or 5 boxes that's scattered around the map, and you can spend 5 seconds or so with an animation for the clown to get into the box. And then once he does that, he can choose any one of them, kind of like it would function code-wise exactly like Demogorgon's portal, so they wouldn't have to do anything new there. And you can choose one of the jack-in-the-boxes to pop out of. Now, when you popped out of it, it would be instant, whereas Demogorgon takes a little bit of time to come out of there. It would be completely instant. And when you come out of there, the vial that you have equipped, if it has ammo, it will shoot off the vial in a much, much larger radius. I'm talking like 5 times as big. So the idea would be clown goes like, and like he pops out, does those little clown laugh. There's a giant explosion of pink mist everywhere, and then he can start immediately moving and attacking from there. And now you might say, well, that makes him stronger than Demogorgon because, well, now he just has an ability that, it's Demogorgon portals, but it's just better. I don't think it'd be better because you can't really place them. It's predetermined by the map, so you can't stick them by gens or under a hook or near the exit gate. It's just meant to be able to get around the map very quickly. Some of them might be near gens and everything, that's fine. But still, I can see how that would be drawing comparisons to Demo and making Demo weak by comparison. So I think what we should do is make it so survivors can spend 10 seconds maybe. They can spend 10 seconds tampering with the jack-in-the-boxes that are scattered around the map, and they can essentially temporary seal it. And what would happen if a clown tried to teleport to a box that was temporarily sealed, instead of instantly popping out and being able to move and attack and shooting the cloud everywhere, he would basically bonk his head on it and be stunned for like 2 seconds and then come out of it. Maybe even a bit longer to reflect the amount of time that the survivors put into it. Ideally, a survivor's time is 1/4 as valuable as the killer. So, for example, if it took survivors 12 seconds to do that, it should take the killer, 3 or 4 seconds to get out of that stun. It would give survivors a slight option. It would prevent him from having an instant ambush feature, but it would also have some time investment. And I think, honestly, survivors would invest time into it just because they want to see a clown bonk his head on a box, because that'd be fucking hilarious. So I think that would make Clown overall have that map control issue be addressed. There'd be a cooldown on it. Maybe like, Freddy's cooldown with the gen teleport, 30 seconds to a minute, something like that. And you can have various add-ons that also affect that as well. And I think that would kind of address the whole map control thing while still keeping him in theme. Now you might go, well, in the lore, Clown can't teleport. Why can't it? Yeah, well, in the lore, Philip can't go invisible, or Sally can't teleport and blink. Like, who fucking cares? Just change the lore if you want. The lore should not hamper the gameplay in any way. So I think they could easily make that work. It fits the whole clown theme because it's a jack-in-the-box. And I think that could work. Additionally, there was one more idea I had for kind of gen pressure and gen control. If he throws a vial on a generator, this would be sort of a minor thing. If he throws one of his reversal bottles on a generator, things like doctor's effects where skill checks could be randomly reversed or maybe slowed down or sped up, just like a minor hallucinogenic cloud, things like that. You would see the cloud and the survivor would start like coughing as they were in it or whatever. So it'd be very clear that you'd have to be prepared for these effects, but it might just be something to catch survivors off guard, give you a little bit of bonus. I don't think he needs like an insane, gen destruction feature with all these additional changes, but I feel like it couldn't hurt just because of how kind of weak Clown currently is. So those are my ideas, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm definitely curious to hear your feedback. And I think that is it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.